Hey everybody, welcome to the next podcast for Phenomenon with Tonia. I have a special treat for you today. I have Miss Miranda Miller, Kanzer, which she says she doesn't use that last name, but I know her as Mandy Miller. So she is the Chief Operating Officer of LESCO, right?
That's correct.
I've known her for some time. I actually met her through her father, who's like my godfather, I think. I mean, he gave me my first job as a contract acquisition manager, and I mean, he's phenomenal. And so, of course, he has a seat that's equally phenomenal as he is. But today I want to talk to her, and I want to talk to her about, kind of her transition. She came here from Florida. And I want to talk to her about, her career path, who she is, and I want to introduce her to you guys because she's great. She's phenomenal. She's beautiful. She's my friend, and I love her. So let's welcome Miranda Miller.
First of all, thank you very much for that introduction. That was a little overboard on my end. I'm blushing. I'm very happy to be here. And I hope that I can help your audience with any kind of questions they may have about LESCO or growing businesses.
Right, that's great. So I kind of want to talk to you a little bit about what your background is in, so where you started.
I started in education, like you mentioned. I have my bachelor's and my first master's degree from the University of South Florida. And I went into special education and taught special ed for about 6-7 years. And then I was an assistant principal for 4 years and a principal for 2 for a very large school in Florida, in Pinellas County area. And then moved into leadership roles when I moved up here to Huntsville, which, by the way, I was born here. I don't even know if you know that or not.
I didn't know that.
You did not? Okay. I was born here. Okay. No, I was actually born at Huntsville Hospital. And then moved when I was 5 down to Florida. So, probably I think it was 2007, we moved up here, and I actually worked for Huntsville City Schools, and I was over attendance and discipline. And,
wow, how was that? Attendance and discipline? I mean,
with Huntsville City Schools, and I know that's in the media right now a lot. So, actually, it was, I loved it. I really did. I loved it. I loved what I did. The kids were really great, just sometimes misunderstood. The majority of them just made really wrong decisions at school. At that time, Barbara Williams, I don't know if you know her or not, she's now over at, she retired from Huntsville City Schools, and now she's over at Redstone. And she does something over there with education. But anyway, she was the director of student services, and so I was right under her. I took parents to court every other Monday in Judge Odell's courtroom for truancy, and every Wednesday and usually half-day Thursdays I either did expulsions or superintendent probations. So it was, some days were funny thinking about how these kids even did kind of some of the things that they did. And meeting all the parents that I did, and then some kids were just truly just got mixed up in the wrong situation. They were really, really, really good kids that just made really bad decisions. And honestly, that was the majority of it. And you have that everywhere. It's not just Huntsville City Schools, and it's everywhere. Right. So anyway, loved it, and June of 2009. I was no longer with Huntsville City Schools, and decided I had wanted to go into business for a long time. I have 4 children myself, and I have 1 stepson, so it was very difficult to deal with kids all day, come home to so many kids. It just, I wanted something different. It was just time. So I decided to, I approached my dad at that time and just said, I want to change careers. And so he supported me on that, and I went back and got a second master's. I got my MBA, and I worked for LESCO at the time. I started January of 2010. He purchased it also January of 2010. So I started shortly after, a few weeks after he purchased LESCO, and I started off part-time while I was going to college, back to school, I should say. And within about a year and a half, I went to full time, and I started off in marketing and business development, and just you don't know what you don't know what you're doing right now. Let's just get in here and let me show you what this is business.
Right. So
a year and a half into it, I said, this really is no different. This is exactly like dealing with kids.
Right.
Truly.
Absolutely.
And, with him dealing with engineers his whole life, because he owned Miltech, this was a much easier transition than I expected. Honestly, because at that time, my role at LESCO was let's just teach you about business. Let's teach you about government contracting and contracts in general, and the FAR and regulations that you need to know
My
about.
Favorite books.
Oh, I know, and you are the master at that. Let me tell you, me not so much. But I have at least the overall concept of contracts, and then you kind of moved into marketing, and then which I loved. That has so much to do with marketing your business and understanding how to advertise and doing those kinds of things, which I loved and enjoyed that. And then he wanted me also to start getting involved in accounting and understanding our finances. Finances is why he grew Miltech to what he did.
Right.
And that, of course, is my weakness, because I don't have a degree in finance. I don't understand. He can look at any spreadsheet and tell you exactly where your issue is.
Right.
And I'll say, wait. Show me what you're talking about here. I mean, I see a little bit, but I don't see what you see. And so I have to really rely on him for that area, for sure. Probably for the rest of my life and his. So, because that will take years. I mean, that's not something you just pick up on. So as I grew, in LESCO, I loved it. And then there came to a point where all of a sudden he was looking at selling it. And of course I said, okay, well, and I was actually at that time looking at a different company that he also owns, and it's called Transservice, and they're a factoring company. So I said, no problem. You're looking at selling it. I will focus on Transservice, because I really loved what I was doing with that end of their business. So, after that happened, we got to the very end where the deal was almost made, and then some things fell through, and literally within a 2 or 3 day period, he said, I need someone to run LESCO. This isn't going to happen. Here's your shot. Let's see what you can do.
Wow.
And I said, okay. And he said, you've got 1 year. And if you don't grow it, or you don't sustain it, or you don't keep our customers, or something happens, I'm going to have to find someone else. And I said, okay, I completely understand. Let's just see what I can do. And at that time I thought, oh my God, what am I doing? I knew a lot of the ins and outs, but I didn't know the true day-to-day operations that it took to really run the company. And that goes with, I think, with any background that you have, or any kind of position that you have in a company. You don't realize it until you're just thrown into it.
Right.
You can go to school all day long and learn about accounting and learn about education, or learn about whatever it is to run a company, but until you're thrown into it and says, here you go, figure it out, that's where you really, really get your education, in my opinion.
Great.
So yes, you value having a degree to a point, but I really feel like getting into the nitty gritty of what you're going to be doing every day is more valuable as for yourself than just a piece of paper.
I think that's definitely true, that you have to kind of just get thrown into what you're supposed to be.
Right.
And so we're going to go to break, but there's a couple of things that you said that I really want to touch on when we get back. Number one is you talked about the kids being misunderstood. So I want you to talk to the audience about how you can be misunderstood when you come from a different background than what you're actually in. Number two, I want to talk to you about what it feels like being pressured because you're the owner's daughter. I mean, what kind of flack do you get? I mean, do you think that you're, up to standard, all that? So we'll go to break, and then we'll come back with Miss Miranda Miller.
Phenomenon with Tonia will be back right after this.
Validar, Flames of Camelot, is the first installment of an epic trilogy that follows the exploits of this mythical warrior as he journeys through time and space. Available at TatePublishing.com.
Hi, this is Chance Glenn. The best way to support the show is to buy from Amazon.com through our website at morningbirdmedia.com. Everyone buys online these days, from school supplies to Christmas gifts, and everyone buys from Amazon.com. You can help us by clicking on the Amazon button on our webpage, then shopping as you normally do. There's no additional cost to do this, but a part of what you purchase goes towards helping the show. With it, we can keep this content coming the way you like it at morningbirdmedia.com.
Make your next event, workshop, or conference more powerful with improved networking for attendees and more useful analytics about those in attendance using Confab Analytics' new professional networking environment. Sign your event up with Confab Analytics and tailor our networking environment to suit your specific event. Your attendees simply download our free Confab app to their mobile device. Through the app, they are able to check in without waiting in line and can share key information electronically with fellow attendees. Using your custom Confab event portal, you can view and store analytics about your attendees, as well as send to them individually or as a group up-to-date information about everything going on at your event. They'll always know where the best networking opportunities are. By using Confab Analytics' professional networking environment, your attendees will have a better experience and be more likely to tell others about how good your event was. In turn, you'll have more meaningful data about your attendees so you can give them an even better experience next time. Confab maximizes your event by making you and your attendees part of the network and a whole lot more. For more information, visit confabanalytics.com or email sales@confabanalytics.com. Confab, connecting the most important part of the network, you.
The Morning Bird Media Network at morningbirdmedia.com.
Welcome back to Phenomenon. Now, here's Tonia.
Okay, welcome back. So we're going to do a few housekeeping rules. You can find me on Facebook at Phenomenon. You can also email me at phenomenon@morningbirdmedia.com. Also, please support our sponsors. You hear their commercials in between the breaks. And I had somebody to say to me, those commercials are so long. Why do you have those long commercials? And I said, maybe he's just, or she's just waiting to hear me next. But Confab is something that you really want to support. You can download it. So let's please support our sponsors. And now we're going to get back to Miss Miranda Miller. So before the break, I asked two specific questions. Number one, being misunderstood. So I want you to talk about that, being misunderstood in business and how you got from education to now you're in government contracting. And number two, I want you to talk about, how it feels and how people treat you as far as you being the owner's daughter, what that means to you. So, okay, let's talk about that.
So being misunderstood. I actually thought you were going to talk about the children being misunderstood.
No. You.
So you mean me.
Mm-hmm. As far as in business. So you're in education.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you're in government contracting.
Right.
Okay. So somewhere along the line, you decided that, okay, I'm going to do this. So what made you do that?
I think that ultimately what made me do that is there was a time in my life where I had a lot of transition going on personally. And so I thought, why not continue that professionally? I just felt like I was at a point where I didn't feel like I was making the difference I wanted to any longer with kids and in education itself. And so I wanted to see what I could do in business. Mm-hmm. And so moving into that transition with LESCO, when I first started with LESCO, I saw how it was ran and supported, of course, whoever's in leadership. But you always have, no matter who you are or what you're doing, you always have your own ideas.
Right.
This is how I would do that. That's not the decision I would make. That's,
right.
That's not how I would treat my employee, or that's not what I would have ever said. Mm-hmm. And so you always have that, regardless of what you do as your career. And so when I finally got that opportunity to take over LESCO, I knew all the things that I personally felt like was the right decision I needed to make for LESCO. does that mean that it was ultimately always right? Maybe not. But I knew in my heart where I wanted it to go, what I felt was the right track for LESCO. And so all I've done since I've started in that role for the last year and a half is build relationships. To me, I don't care what kind of accounting department you have. Okay, well, I do. But you know what I mean. I don't care about, I care about our employees, and I care about relationships that I have with our customers. And to me, no matter what I tell you, even if later on that means that wasn't necessarily the best decision for the company because, I could have had more profit if I had done this or that. But whatever I've commit to, whether the good or the bad, they know that's what they're going to get with us.
That's absolutely the answer that I was expecting. Because here's what I was trying to pull out of you. Because there's someone that's listening. They may be in a career that they really don't think fits them.
Right.
Okay, and so what will give them the drive and the tenacity to move forward into something else? And so your response to me was just that, okay, I looked around and you basically said, I would do that differently. I would do that. That's the pull that and I want the audience to listen to this. When you get that pulling and that drive, go for it. She
exactly.
did. Mm-hmm. And she's been successful. So I really want you guys to really just kind of dig deep, go through that phenomenon experience, and kind of know that you're worth more than where you are. Specifically, if you think that where you are is not where you're supposed to be. So that was a very, very great answer. Good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And so the second part, you asked me about my role at LESCO and being the owner's daughter.
And how much pressure that could be and all of that.
So basically, anytime you are the owner, a daughter or son of an owner of a company that you work for, you're always going to have issues.
Right.
From the beginning to the day that you no longer work there. I don't care what role you have or anything. So I first started LESCO. It was very difficult because my father, who's our owner, which I usually don't refer to him. I know you do refer to him as my dad, but normally I always just say it's Don. Mm-hmm. That's how I refer to him. It's just Don. So when I first started working for Don, I understood that regardless if you agree with it or not, there's still that chain of command that you must follow. And so it's hard when you're supposed to report to one person and then all of a sudden you realize that your father is calling you on the other line saying, what's going on? Tell me what's happening. And I have to say, I'm really not the one that you should be asking. It's this person. Mm-hmm. You need to be calling this person, not me. And he did not like that. He always wanted me to be involved in meetings that I had no business being in as my role there at that time. He wanted me to always find out information about things that I have no need to know. Mm-hmm. Be involved in this and that. And at that time, I was always caught in the middle. What do I do? I'm not answering his question, and I don't know the information he wants me to know, but yet, on the other hand, I've got employees who obviously are very upset. Why am I in here?
Right.
If you're only business development, why are you in this financial meeting? Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know why I'm here. I'm just supposed to be here. Right. So I understood their frustration, and I was equally as frustrated because, you have to understand that the owner, if they're going to do that, if they're going to have any family, not just a daughter or a son, but any family working for you, keeping them in their role is the most important. If you ever want them to move up and be something else in that company, then that's the time that they need to be at certain meetings or be involved in certain things that normally they wouldn't be at if they're at the bottom, they're the bottom dwellers still, coming in and still learning things. So that took a very, very long time for Don to transition to understand, and also for myself and also all the other employees that are there. Finally, though, when I did take over, I think that we were all in the same boat saying, let's just see what we can do. Let's just try this together. And at that time, we also became a woman-owned company. Well, shortly after that, I should say. About 6 months later, we became a woman-owned company. And we wanted to really have a new philosophy on the company and see where we can go. I think we work really, really well together now. I mean, we always, it's our LESCO family. I'm extremely flexible with our employees on things that they need to do. Family is number one, first and foremost, number one. Work will always be there.
Right.
If, yes, you have set hours, but if something happens, making up time, all those kinds of things, just building, again, it all stems back to relationships. And for me, that is by far the one thing that I can say that Don has taught me is I built Miltech on relationships. That's what I hope for LESCO, and that's what that was always just my demeanor anyway. That's always just how I am with people. I always want to be there for them, do what I can for them, and I guess just kind of build that leaderful organization that you always hope for.
Right.
That's how I am. I trust everyone's going to do their job. If you don't, that's the only time I ever address it. But until you prove me wrong, it's just assume that everyone's going to do what they're supposed to do.
Right.
And the second thing that I can tell you that Don taught me is, so yes, relationships are extremely important, but also to stay humble. Always.
And he's extremely humble.
He is. Most of the time, he is, and you have to be, because tomorrow everything could be gone.
Right.
Someone that you've relied on as a customer for years may not be there anymore. And so you have to understand that, never take for granted what you have. Always make sure that you appreciate the business that you receive and treat it as if it is truly something you care about more than anything else. And so I try to do that with all of our contracts. I'm there for all of our customers. And if we can't get it right, we work on it until it is. I mean, that's just something that it's a priority with us always.
Now, that's a very bold and great statement. I like how you said that, families first, because a lot of times as a female, and by the way, this is supposed to be Women's History Month, March. Being a female, you kind of have to deal with that balancing act.
Right.
I have kids, but I also have a job. I'm the CEO, I'm the COO. How do I balance that? But what you said, and it's something that Don and Gina Miller both taught me when I worked at Miltech, is that parent, and I had a 3-year-old at the time. There were numerous proposals due, 2 o'clock in the morning, we're up, and Gina would say, bring her to work. So my daughter is like a Miltech baby. She's 18 years old now, but she remembers that.
Right.
And so your values, the core of who you are, is very phenomenal, because a lot of times, like I said, women do not know how to balance the two. Either we are emotional and say, oh, come on, my God, my child's at home by herself, or I can't. But you've managed, through wisdom of your father, you've managed to kind of balance those two out, and I really admire you for that.
And long ago, I had to realize that I'm never going to be great at both. You can't.
Right.
You can't be a great mother. You can't be a great employee. You have to just understand that you're going to do the best you can at both. And some days I fail at my job, and some days I fail at it as a parent. But ultimately, though, I think that my heart's in the right place, and my vision for the company and for all of our employees to grow together is in the right place. And so, like you said, bringing people to work, and let me tell you, I've had to take my kids many times to work with me. I isolate them in my office. I close the door. Other employees I allow as well to bring their children when they have to. I've had one of our employees had to have 3 of her children there for a whole 2 weeks over Christmas break because she had no place to put them. So of course we made it work. Right. Yeah, we made it work all day long. She brought them every day, and they were great. So it's whatever they have to do, and we're very flexible with that. So it's about. I think just being understanding, and really what ultimately would you rather you see your customer do? Get the job done. I think it just shows that you have so much more just pride in what you do every day.
Right.
When no matter what it is that you have to get done, you may have to be a couple minutes late. Like, even today I had some issues with my children this morning and had to run a couple minutes late. So those things may happen, but ultimately we're going to get the job done.
Right.
We'll be there. Just work with me, and that's how we are. And I think that our customers see that, and that's why they really love working with us. And they appreciate our honesty all the time, and that they can trust that whatever we do say that we're going to do, as I said before, we're going to do it.
That's great. So we've talked about LESCO. I don't think we've even told you what LESCO was, what their capabilities are. So tell us a little bit about LESCO, what the name means and, what your capabilities are.
Okay. It stands for Logistics and Environmental Solutions Corporation. It's been in business for 23 years. Actually, this will be 24th year in June this year. We do anything from engineering services to base operations support, which includes warehousing, ammunition supply. We run ranges at different installations. We have food services that we do at different installations. We are all government contracting though. We're all DoD. We have mechanics, wrench turners that at different sites. Our engineers, you name the engineer, we have it. So we're really truly a large variety of different positions that is not like most people think we're just a logistics company. We're not. And so that's one of the things right now we're trying to work on is we're not just logistics. We have, 30% of our workforce is either IT or engineering. And so we do so many other different things besides just supporting the soldier with just more blue-collar type positions. So we do have both. Great. And so that's one of the areas that we're trying to work on right now is trying to grow, not just continue to grow our blue-collar work, but also grow our white-collar work as well.
That's awesome. I think that a lot of the listening audience have gleaned by now that we're in Huntsville, Alabama, and that this is like the baby Pentagon. This is where all government contracting is done. I think we do it obviously better than they do it in D.C. I mean, somebody probably would beg to differ. But LESCO used to be a client of mine, and I think every company in this area, we pride ourselves with doing things great. And the thing about LESCO is, it's like Miranda said, their employees are awesome, and I think is attributed to leadership. And I think that if you guys out there want to grow a business, kind of take some things that Miranda said today. She talked about having basically core values, what your values are. She talked about, transitioning, just because you're in one area, doesn't mean that you have to stay in that area. She also talked about family first. You got to deal with the balancing act. You may not be great all the time at one thing, but, you kind of have a trade-off, every now and then. So, I really appreciate you for coming on the show. Is there anything else that you like to tell the audience?
No, I just have known you for so many years, and I appreciate you asking me to come and taking time this morning. So thank you very much.
Well, the pleasure was all mine. So now we've come to the end of our show. I know you guys don't want to let us go because we're an awesome duo.
That's right.
You guys can, again, like I said, visit me at Phenomenon at morningbirdmedia.com. Also, give them the website to LESCO.
It's www.lesco-logistics.com.
Great. And then, shoot me out an email, write a review, and then I'll look forward to talking to you guys next time. See ya. Bye.
This has been Phenomenon with Tonia. To learn more about the show, visit morningbirdmedia.com, or you can email at phenomenon@morningbirdmedia.com. Also, check out Facebook under Phenomenon. Come back and join Tonia as she helps you feel the fear and do it anyway.